Oh, hi guys, it's Pi here. This is my last in the series of live stream beatbox workshops. Today we are going to be doing some singing and beatboxing at the same time. Looks like we've got someone joining us on YouTube. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes, see if anyone else wants to join us. Sam, we've got the Inexplicables joining us on the Insta. Yeah, I'm just going to jam for a little bit and let a few more people join. You guys are welcome to make a cup of tea or have a chat amongst yourselves or just listen to me jamming. But yeah, we'll be starting the lesson in a few minutes, so stay where you are. Cool. Yeah, there's a couple more people joining us. This is a beatbox workshop. We're starting in probably a minute or two, and just a few more people join us. I'm going to be having a little jam. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So if you guys have joined us before, you will already know that we start these beatbox workshops with some real basic drums and just introduce everyone, make sure everyone's at the same level. If you've never beatboxed before, this hopefully gets you up with everyone else who's joined us in the last sort of few workshops. If you have joined us before, it's always really good to go back over those basics and get them really tight and down and on point. So hopefully all of you guys have been here before, been away practicing, and this time you can get a little bit more punch and a little bit more power in all of those drums. And yeah, really see some development. So We are going to start with boots and cats. If you've ever learned to beatbox before, you've probably seen this technique before. So basically, I'm going to give you some normal English words, which all of you know how to say, and slowly we're going to turn those into drums, and you're going to be beatboxing before you know it. So we start with the word boots and the word cats. So if you guys just join in with me. Boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats. And you guys, following the finger. Cool. So hopefully most of you know how to say boots and cats. I take this workshop around festivals and youth clubs and various other things. And normally when I'm doing it live, people pick up that first one pretty quick. The second element is to emphasize the B's in the boots and the C's in the cats. So that's emphasizing the sort of hard consonants at the start of each word. And that should sound a little bit like this. Boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats. And you guys? Come on, push it out. Let's hear that power. Let's hear that punch. Cool. So again, people mostly pick that part up a little bit, pretty much straight away. There's one bit which is a little bit more tricky. So not everyone gets this right away, so don't worry if you're not getting it right on point. But we're going to try and get rid of the A's in the middle of the cats and the O's in the middle of the boots. So we'll just be left with and you guys. So for some of you, you'll still have a little bit of an ooh-ah in there. Trying to get rid of those oohs and get rid of those ahs. So we're just left with the if you've still got it in there a little bit, that's all right, but it's just something to work on, something to take away. Okay, so those are kind of the real basic drums. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to go through those now and explain what you just learned. So the B from the boots is basically a bass drum. So that's the sort of the big round drum which sits on the floor, which you play with your foot. And that's just the B on its own. So that goes. And you guys? Cool. So most people can get that one pretty quick. The other one I want to show you is the C from the cats on its own. And that's what's called a rim shot. So that's hitting the rim of the drum, the sort of metallic bit which goes around the edge. And that sounds like this. And you guys? And the last one I want to show you is the hi-hat. The hi-hat is the sort of flappy cymbal which goes up and down like that. And you can kind of play a hi-hat two ways. What you've done so far is an open hi-hat. So that's the sort of TS at the end of the boots and at the end of the cats. So that goes. The other way you can play it, which some people find a bit easier, is just the T on its own. So no, just. For the most part with this workshop, I don't mind if you use the t or the t, but just for this one exercise, let's see if you can get both of them. So we're going to go. And you guys? Cool. one quick note. If any of you are having any trouble with the sound, if you can't hear what I'm saying, if you can't hear the beats, let me know, and I'll try and do some technological wizardry at my end to sort that out. So just give me a shout if you're struggling to hear anything. Yes, so we've got the boots and the cats, and we've broken it down into the individual drums. So the third stage is basically the same as the first, but we just want to be thinking about the individual drums. So we're going to go back to doing boots and cats. But this time, I want you to think about it as doing a kick drum, a hi-hat, a rim shot, and another hi-hat. So it sounds like this. It's kick drum, it's the hi-hat, it's the rim shot, back to the hi-hat. So let's try that. Really slow to start with, and then we'll speed up. Cool. So that is basically most of the basic drums. There's one more basic drum I want to teach you. Up to now, we've been doing a rim shot. So that's hitting the edge of the snare drum. And right now, I want to show you how to do a nice, fat, punchy snare. So that's hitting the drum nice and clean in the center of the drum. So it goes like this. So that's what we're going to be aiming for. But to start with, we're going to go a similar technique to what we did before. We're going to start with a word, which hopefully you guys all know, and that word is push. So if we just say push, 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 and you guys, that's it. So hopefully you guys all get that, because that's just really simple basic English. Next is same thing as we did before. We're going to emphasize the hard consonant at the start of the word. So emphasizing the letter P at the start of the word push. So it sounds like this. Push, 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 push. So hopefully you guys are getting that as well. Again, that's one that's pretty straightforward. This next bit's the tricky bit. We're going to try and get rid of the vowel in the middle. So again, like we did before, we're going to try and get rid of the vowel, and that's the letter U. So we just get left with and you guys. Cool. So hopefully that's starting to sound nice and fat. If you've been to a few of these workshops before, you're really working on getting rid of that U in the middle. So you're trying not to vocalize it. You're trying not to use your vocal cords at all. Everything should be coming from the mouth. So you're not going push, push. You're getting rid of that in the middle. And just hopefully you should be left with. If this is your first class, or if this is kind of one of your first couple of classes, I won't be surprised if there's a little bit of an in there. So right, what we're going to try and do next is take the rim shot, which you had before, from the boots and the cat. So I'm going to take that. We're going to put that snare drum in. So let's try it again. It's going to sound like this. I'll start real slow. Yeah. So we're going to start real slow, and hopefully everyone who's kind of just joining us today for the first time can keep up with it to start with, and then we'll speed up and up and up, and the people who've joined us before, the people who really know beatboxing well, can challenge themselves and see how long they can keep going. All right. So those are your basic drums, and then that at the end was just kind of a little demonstration of what you can do with those drums. A little bit of a sort of ska type vibe to that one. Hopefully you guys are kind of following. If you didn't get up to the sort of fast ska rhythm at the end, that's fine. Don't worry about it at all. But maybe one or two of you did, and that's fantastic. Really good progress. So next, I'm going to do a little bit of a call and response. So I'm going to do a bit of some of the drums, maybe some drums that you've already learnt, maybe some drums that you haven't, and if you just give them back to me as best you can, it doesn't have to be exact, but just kind of, if it inspires you to make a sound, then that's great. So I'm going to go, and you guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, me. Hey. Hey, hey. Cool. So that's just a little bit of call and response. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Not expecting to get everything, but one of the things I really love about beatboxing is someone makes a sound at me and I try and copy it and I don't quite get it right. But in the process of getting it wrong, I come up with a new sound, which I like. So hopefully some of you guys at home are starting to come up with your own ideas for sounds. Right, so a question I get asked a lot when I do these beatbox workshops live is how do you breathe? And there's one really simple trick to it. Basically, the idea is that you breathe in and make a drum sound at the same time. So it sounds really simple and straightforward, but it's maybe a little bit more tricky than you think, because then you kind of got to get breath control and make sure that you balance the in with the out. So there's a beat which I normally use to teach people this, and it's basically by a group called the Fat Boys, who are like a massive hip hop group in the 80s, and they released this track which was an international #1 across the world, and it was entirely a cappella, entirely from the mouth, and the drums were done by a beatboxer, and they sound like this. So we're going to try and get you doing that. And the reason that I use that one to teach is because it's fairly simple and straightforward to see how the in and out breath is working there. You're basically just like heavy breathing. So most people can pick that up pretty quick. So let's start with the basics. We're going to start with a kick drum. So that's the B from the boot. So if you weren't with us earlier, just like a buh, buh, buh sort of noise. So that starts like this, or Maybe if you're not so advanced, B. So that's the kick drum, then an in breath, and then out and in again. So yeah, try that again. One more time. Okay, let's try and loop it. So it goes like this. Cool. So hopefully you guys are starting to get that. If there's anything you're not getting, feel free to drop me a message either on the Instagram or on the YouTube, and I'll answer it as best I can, or try and explain it in a different way. It's one of the things I really miss about doing these workshops live, is there's always questions coming up from people, and they kind of make me think in different ways about beatboxing. So if you guys have got any questions at all, I'm really happy to sort of stop and answer them. So that's the real basics of breathing and beatboxing. And we're going to add one more drum to that. So that was the push snare, which we did earlier. Or maybe if you're not quite advanced, it sounds more like a push, push, push. So that's going to sound like this. Same thing you did before with the snare drum. So let's try it again. So that's snare, in, out, in. Okay, so hopefully you guys are getting the idea of that. So let's try and loop that and see if you guys can get the loop. So with me. So hopefully you guys have got the but if it sounds like a push, push, that's fun as well. Okay, last step. We're going to put those two halves together. So we start with a kick drum, and then we do the snare drum. Kick. How's that feeling for you guys? So I'm going to slow that right down, and then we're going to speed it up and see how fast we can get. So same as before, the people who are just joining us now, hopefully you can join us in right at the start, and then the people who have been here the whole time, maybe you'll be able to speed up a little bit and keep going with me. So if you're just joining us, we're starting with the kick drum, which is sort of like a B. Say Subsonic on the YouTube, big up man, nice to see you. And then we're going to use a snare drum, which is kind of like saying the word push, push. And in between, we're just going to be breathing. So let's try it real slow. Cool, grand. So there's one more drum which I want to try and teach you guys, which is really good for breathing in. And it's kind of like the rim shot we were doing earlier. So if you've been with us from the start, it's kind of like a C or a K noise. So if you hear from the start, it's the cats. If you're just joining us now, it's just a C on its own. And all we're going to try and do is do that inwards. Some people get that straight away and it's really easy and straightforward. And for some people, it takes a little bit longer. So kind of one of the ways that I explain it for people not getting it straight away is if you make the C that you're doing earlier, and then if you sort of slow down and think about what you're doing, so biologically, basically, what you're doing is you're pushing your tongue up to the back of your throat, which is creating a seal and stopping you from breathing out through your mouth. Then you're building up pressure in your diaphragm. And then when you bring your tongue down, you suddenly release that air and you get a okay. So just try that a couple of times, just thinking about sort of biologically what you're doing. So you bring the tongue up to the back of your throat, build up that pressure with the diaphragm, and then release the tongue to get the sort of C noise which you're doing earlier. All we're doing with the inward one is exactly the same mouth movement. So bring your tongue up to the back of your throat. This time, though, we try to build up pressure by breathing in or lowering your diaphragm. And then when you release the tongue, it gives you a different noise and lets you breathe in as well. So let's try it. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you're getting it, then fantastic. If you're not, feel free to drop me a message. Again, this is one which some people struggle with, so I'm not hugely worried if you're not getting it straight away. But for the people who are getting it, we're going to go back to the boots and the cats. But this time, so that was for people who are just joining us. That is boots and cats. But all we're going to do is we're going to take the C from the cats and we're going to replace it with the inward C. So it's going to sound like this. But we're going to start really slowly. So everyone who's got that inward C can practice it. If not, and you're totally baffled by that idea, then just do the boots and the cats that we were doing earlier and take this as an opportunity to really produce some punch and power behind those drums. So with me, nice and slow to start with, so everyone gets it, and then we'll speed up and see how long we can keep going. And if you really work with that sort of inward C, this is kind of like pro tips. You can move the sort of where the point where you release the air out the side of your mouth, or to both sides. You get something like that, and that gives you a sort of slightly fatter snare sound, slightly cleaner snare sound, a little bit less breathy. So if you've done before, try sort of pushing the place where you release your tongue round to the side, and you just get a slightly cleaner noise. And that's really useful if you want to do like sort of technical routines and sort of sound a little bit more punchy and powerful. So it might be like a cool. So yeah, I'm going to do a little showcase for a little while. If you guys have got questions, this is a really good opportunity for you to type them out. I know sometimes it's not easy to sort of type and listen to what I'm saying at the same time. But while I'm just having a little jam, you're welcome to do that. Let me know what you think, good things, bad things, things you're confused about, general random questions about beatboxing or life or anything you want. if you're not into that, you're welcome to just listen to what I'm doing, or to go and have a chat with your mates for a minute or whatever. Let's give it a go. So yeah, we've had a question from Subsonic. He asks, how do I do tongue bass loud? So in with tongue bass as well, yeah. Safe DJ, I'm really glad you asked those questions. So tongue bass, if you've not tried it before, it's kind of like rolling your R's. So you go, and then you don't vocalize it. So rather than going behind it, you're just doing the bit with your mouth. So you're going, and if you sort of control that and give it some power and direction, you get like a and so specifically, how do you do it loud? There's kind of a really useful general technique. If you've not got this is amazing for all beatboxers. It's to open your jaw and open your throat. So the simplest way to explain it is if you try and open your mouth as much as you can while still keeping your lips together, you're creating a bigger cavity in your mouth, which gives you a little bit more resonance. And that really helps, especially with sort of bassy, punchy noises like kick drums and bass synths. So like a tongue bass, like a, or like a lip bass, like a, you get a lot more power if you open your mouth. Then the other thing you can do if you want super advanced technique is to shift your jaw forward just a little bit, and that just creates a little bit of extra volume in there. Other than that, it's basically just about training your diaphragm, so you've got power to push a lot of air out, and training the muscles in your mouth to be able to produce the power. And it's kind of like weightlifting. You get to the gym, when you first get there, you can hardly lift anything. And if you keep coming back and keep training, then after a while, your muscles are more powerful. Yeah, it's the same thing. Your diaphragm, your mouth, your tongue, all of that is... Hello, Envived. Hi, nice to meet you. Really glad to have you here. This is a beatbox workshop if you're just joining us. Cool. Yeah, no worries, man. Big up Subsonic. Really lovely to have you along. Yeah, okay. I think we'll leave it there. If you want a little bit more about the tongue bass, and especially the inward tongue bass, drop me a PM and we can chat about it. But I won't hold up. Can I do the inward bass? I can do an inward chest bass. So I'm getting a couple of questions from sort of advanced beatboxers. So hopefully the rest of you guys are kind of sticking with me. We are going to be getting back to some slightly more basic stuff in a bit. But yeah, I'll just take this as a moment because people are asking the questions to answer it. The inward bass is quite difficult to explain. But you're basically, if you sort of start by breathing out, it's like a growl. And then it's just that, but breathing in. I'm not great at it. I don't really use it for like live shows or like battles or anything like that. But I am working on it, and hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have it tight enough to use for battles. But yeah, you can do like a or something like that. But you kind of want to be saying something like yeah or wow with your mouth, and that kind of gives you a little bit more structure to it rather than it just being like a sort of slightly ugly noise. But yeah, that's how you do the inward bass, inward chest bass. Real advanced technique. Yo, where did we get to? I've been teaching you guys how to do inwards noises. Yeah, I think we're on to advanced technique actually. So this is one which I use with a lot of classes. People are often surprised how easy it is. This is a real classic throwback to the sort of when I first started beatboxing. This was kind of like what everyone aspired to. This is singing and beatboxing at the same time. Whoa, no, it's totally impossible. Singing and beatboxing at the same time. Yeah, maybe towards the end I might try and pull one out, but I try not to copy beatboxers too much. Wow, someone knows me. So another question from someone from I think probably a beatboxer who knows stuff quite well. How do you start by reversing words? So this goes back to a routine that I dropped for a YouTube channel called Beatbox International. And basically, if you say the words, you say that and then play it backwards, you say the word, it sounds like the words bass, drop, kick, rhythm. And it's a really hard one to do. I spent a good week just recording those words forwards, and then I had a sort of app which let me hear what it sounded like in reverse, and then I'd record it in reverse and use the app to try and play it forward, and then it was just keeping on doing that over and over again. It's a really hard one to do because you'd think it's just sort of spell the words backwards and you've pretty much got it, but actually each of the individual sounds have to be done backwards as well. So for example, bass, drop, kick, rhythm, so when you're trying to get the word bass, that's siep. So you're not just going sob, siep. You've got to think about the way that you intonate it, and that's got to be reversed. And you've got to think about the individual letters, and they've each got to be reversed as well. Hopefully that makes sense. Yes, I'll drop an individual routine for Invived at the end. Sorry to Sensation Gamer, I don't think I'm going to be dropping a Codfish routine anytime soon. I'll leave that to Codfish because he's the pro at that. But yes, sorry, right, back to the actual workshop. Singing and beatboxing at the same time. It's way simpler than you think it is. It's basically what we've been doing the whole way through is we've been learning our drums by using words which you already know. So something like boots and cats. Then we've been emphasizing the hard consonants at the start. And all of a sudden we found we've got drum sounds. So we're kind of doing something similar, but this time we don't need to drop the vowels. So the one which I normally start with is my beat break down like that. So all we're going to do is emphasize the B's, the T's, and the K's like we have done before. So it goes like this. My beat break down like that. My beat break down like that. My beat break down like that. And you guys with me? My beat break down like that. My beat break down like that. Okay, so you're nearly there. All we're going to do is put an extra little hi-hat in the middle. So it sounds like this. My beat break down like that. 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 There's one little trick in there which I haven't shown you, and that is the letter D at the start of down. You just about get away with turning that into a hi-hat. So you're kind of saying my beat break down. So try that one more time with me. My beat break down like that. 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 I'm getting asked if I can do vibration bass. No, I'm not. Basically, I can't. I've been working on it, but it's not ready to show quite yet. Let's see what else have we got. So that's my beat breakdown like that. Some of you will probably know about a guy called Razel. He shot to fame in the year 2000 with a track or with a whole album called "Make the Music with Your Mouth." But he had one really famous beatbox track on there, which is called "If Your Mother Only Knew," and he goes like this. If your mother only knew. If your mother only knew. If your mother only knew. The pupil was trying to get with me. She'd probably throw you out her home. You'd probably be him an apartment all alone. If your mother only knew. Yeah. So Sensation Gamer is now asking if I can show you guys what I have been working on recently. And I will do in a minute. I'm just going to finish this little segment on singing and beatboxing at the same time, so that the people who kind of signed up for the class get what they asked for. So to do this one, we're going to start with Biff Your Mother Bone Clean You. Biff your mother bone clean you. So we're just sneaking those drums in at the start of syllables, and then kind of continuing the word. So instead of saying if, we're saying biff. Instead of saying mother, we're saying mother. And instead of saying only, we're saying only. And then instead of saying if your mother bone clean you. Oh yeah, no, then we're just sticking drum at the end. So that's the basics. Let's try that one more time. If your mother bone clean you. If your mother bone clean you. And then we're going to stick a snare in there. So this is I haven't taught the snare yet. This is a BF snare. So you start by saying the word biff, 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 biff. Emphasize the B, biff, 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 and get rid of the I. So you just get left with yes, I do have a Discord. I'll probably work out who I am in a second. I've only just started using it, probably in the last week or so. So I keep getting asked questions by different people. If you want to find me on Discord, I am Pi Beatbox. So give me a look on there if you've not found me yet. So if your mother only knew, we're going to go. If your mother only knew. If your mother only knew. So same as before, but this time we're alternating the kick with the snare. So biff your mother. If you can get that, then you're an absolute legend. You got everything else nailed. Biff your mother bone clean you. Biff your mother bone clean you. Biff your mother won't clean you. If 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 your mother won't clean you. The pube was trying him to get with me. She probably throw you out her home. You probably be in an apartment all alone. If your mother won't clean you. Yeah, so that's kind of the class. I'm going to finish off with a little bit of what I'm working on at the moment for Sensation Gamer and Envivid. And then maybe like a couple of little routines, which I've been doing for a while. You guys are all welcome to hang around and watch. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, to subscribe to me on YouTube, find me on Facebook, and you can like me there as well if that's your preferred platform. I'm Pi Beatbox on Discord. Yeah, loads of stuff. It'd be great to hear from you guys again in future. Yeah, okay, routine. Let's start with... started at the bottom, I've been working. For 10 long years I've been hurting. Now I'm nearly at the top, not gonna stop, that's for certain. Started at the bottom, I've been working. For 10 long years I've been hurting. Now I'm nearly at the top, not gonna stop, that's for certain. Okay, yeah, I've got one more actually. Before I go, earlier in the class we were doing my beat breakdown like that, and just want to show you what we can take that level to. If you practice it, if you work at it, you'll be able to get something like this too. Yo, my beat break my beat breakdown like that. 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 My break down like that. My beat break down like that. like that. Sound like yeah, I do have a Discord. One more question. I do have a Discord. If you search Pi Beatbox, that's Pye. That's probably reversed for you guys. Pye Beatbox. You should be able to find me on Discord. If you can't find me there, subscribe to me here. Send me a private message. Drop a message on the video. I'll pick it up and I'll send you a link. Yeah, great. Lovely seeing you guys. Big up to Chance Michaels joining right at the end on the Instagram. Safe guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for hanging out with me and hopefully I'll see you all again soon.